Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with the amazing Suzanne Bandick. Today, we are going to talk about success habits and how to set yourself up for success. For those of you that are listening, as we just released this for the new year, and for those of you that are listening in the future, the new year has already happened. Don't make an excuse to be like, oh, I've got to wait till the next year. Success habits work all the time. And this is a special episode because usually Suzanne is very organized with, I've got a list of 3 things or I've got a list of 5 things. Today, she said there's too many to list. So she's just going to start overwhelming us with success habits. And I will do my best to defend my verbal self and ask questions that help give you guys some clarity. So Suzanne, I am dying to hear about these not magic, but helpful success habits.
Perfect, Mike. Thank you. And again, as you mentioned, as we actually record this podcast, a new year is coming. However, as I always say, you can choose to change things up and make it like your new year any time of the year.
Love it.
That's the important thing to remember. So today I wanted to talk about the success habits, and it's not just what will you do, it's what will you give up.
That's a good point.
Okay, so let's start with things that you can give up. You can give up excuses. You can give up stories that don't serve you. You can give up the fear to move or change, right? You can give up a resistance to things that can serve you because we don't like to change. We can give up time wasters. We need to be really vigilant on that one. Give up talking and thinking negatively, and give up talking badly about yourself.
So we've got some paradoxes or a paradox built into that. How do we, if I need to give up talking negatively about myself or kind of focusing on things that don't work or why they won't work, I'm probably here going, well, you think I don't know I shouldn't do those, Suzanne? I've tried before to give those up and I can't give them up. So for someone who's struggling with that, what would be, actually, I'm going to ask a question and make a comment so you've got time to think. What would be a methodology? How can that person give these things up that maybe they've tried to give up before and feel like they're stuck? Well, Suzanne's thinking about that. I just want to tie this in for kind of the A types. Like, just tell me what to do and how to do it. As much as I love, here's how to do marketing. Here's how to build a hiring funnel. Here's how to run financials in a way that serve you. If I had to pick successful habits and thinking with lack of skill or all the skill and bad habits, God dang it. I'm the one that teaches the skills, right? So I would be biased toward that. I'll take the success habits because skills are pretty, I don't say easy to build, but more people can teach you and are willing to teach you. And it's easier to, there's not a lot out of your comfort zone to learn how to do a P&L or learn how to do marketing, right? It's fairly, the things that are going to stop you on the marketing is actually tracking and reading that data and using that data to make decisions. And then that gets all into fear and of all the stuff that Suzanne's talking about. So I just want to encourage you. We can tell you what to do and how to do it all day long, but if you don't have the right success habits, you're going to find reasons not to do them or not even understand them, and you're just going to struggle, right? If you've got a belief that money makes people evil, it's really hard. Even if I tell you exactly step A, B, and C of how to make money, you're going to struggle. So I just want to make that direct line from, well, how do these squishy beliefs that I kind of get are good for me, but how does that actually going to make me money? It's like, well, obviously they need to be applied with intelligent action, but having coaches, it's not like we have extra money we have to get rid of. So we hire Suzanne and Janelle to do the mindset part. We found that just screaming at people what to do and how to do it isn't effective, right? It always comes down to, not always, but the vast overwhelming majority comes down to some belief or some fear, or some success habit. So I just want all you A types out there, like, just tell me what to do and how to do it. That's important. You need to know what to do and how to do it. But if you have the wrong beliefs around if you should do it, or if you could do it, or if you deserve to do it, or if you'll get the result, like there's 1,000 beliefs that can sabotage you in that, even if you've got the exact right thing. I'd almost rather you do something that was the wrong thing with the right beliefs than the right thing with the wrong beliefs. It's that big of a deal. Okay. Feel like I'm going to step off my little soapbox here and let Suzanne respond to how someone that's stuck in some of those negative habits get out of those negative habits when their negative beliefs are keeping them in the negative beliefs loop.
Right. I love it. And I'm going to go back to that. But first, I want to talk about and address what you just said, Mike. And that is the importance of not only the mindset, but the doing. It's the dramatic combo that makes all the difference. And there are many well-schooled people, this isn't from me, that will say success is 80% mindset and 20% doing. So let's be aware that if we do something thinking, it's not going to turn out well, I'm not comfortable with this, it's really going to be crummy, our success is usually minimal. We don't get the full gain that we're hoping for out of the doing. But if we come in with a mindset of, I can try this, I can do this, I can change, I've got support, I, I, I believe this will work. And these are the reasons why I believe I'm deserving of a price increase or whatever that is. And this is how it will serve the client better, right? Whatever we're dealing with. If we come in with the right mindset, our chances of succeeding are much greater. But we always have to remember it's the combo of the mindset and the doing that gives us the success. You cannot just sit on the couch, eat chocolates, think about success, and find it shows up at your door. Sorry, it doesn't happen.
It's crazy talk. And I would say the longer you extend that time horizon, the more true that becomes. Because if I've got the exact right thing to do, maybe I do it and it works out. I'm like, see, I had a terrible mindset and it worked. Like, yeah, I'm not saying you'll never succeed. God bless you. Hopefully you do succeed. But we're all going to struggle. Like there's the best coaching, no coaching. You're always going to make, I don't say make a mistake. You're always going to do something that doesn't get the outcome you want. 100%. Like there's just I've never seen a business go straight up, right? It's just the big ups and downs and backwards and, 2 steps back and ideally 3 steps back sometimes, or 3 steps forward sometimes. It is a process, no question. And our response to success really doesn't matter, because when you succeed, and you have a negative or unhelpful beliefs around that, it's not great. It's probably going to make you unattractive to other people, but it's not going to, you've already succeeded. You've got that success. So if you have a great mindset about it, you'll experience it better. More people want to be a part of that success, but you're still successful. So it's not really going to change the outcome. But when you don't succeed or succeed immediately, that's when you get kicked in the teeth. So if with the wrong mindset. So if I got a belief of I'm going to raise prices and they're going to love it and they're going to understand, they care about me and they don't think I'm trying to screw them, and they want me to have a fair wage, and they want me to pay my people, and they want a great outcome, and they know that costs money. And I go in thinking that's going to happen. And the guy's like, screw you. How dare you? Like, I can get it for half. You go, see, none of that crap worked. Well, there's other prices to be raised, right? And then what you do and the beliefs that you take, if you go, well, you could have a belief of he's right, I'm wrong. It was evil of me to ever try and raise prices. How dare I? I guess I'll just be broke the rest of my life. You're done. That's the end of it. Like, that's it, right? But if you go, oh, it's a bummer that guy feels that way. Like, I'm guessing the next person is going to feel differently. The next outcome is going to be wildly different. So even if you don't see it in the first one, which you probably will, the longer you extend that time horizon, I forget who said it, but success is just going, I think it was Winston Churchill, going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. That's all the beliefs that you have, right? Because there's always going to be failures. Always, 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 always. Whether you do the right thing or the wrong. Sometimes you do the wrong thing and get lucky and have what you consider a success. Sometimes you do the right thing and still have a failure. But your response to that and the belief of, well, I'll just moving on, is what's going to sustain you. Okay. So
can you guys hear Mike and I are used to talking about this a lot?
Because it's all, I want to talk about how to market, because that's like the fun, easy black and white stuff. But what we have to talk about is, why isn't he spending the money, or why isn't he do the track, or why aren't, he or she knows the thing, our clients know the thing that they need to do. Why are they still struggling to do it? So yeah, it's not that we talk about this because it's Suzanne's favorite thing. Well, it is Suzanne's favorite thing, but that's not what we talk about it. It's not my favorite thing. It's for me, it's super pragmatic. I'm like, I want to win, and I see I need this to win. So like, there's just no getting around it. I do happen to like it, but even if I didn't, I may not like gravity, but it's going to have the same effect on me, regardless of my thoughts. Okay, so back to the question I'm asking and interrupting myself is for the folks that are like, all right, fine, you hit me about the head and shoulders, and I know I've got to have beliefs that are going to align, successful beliefs if I want success. But I've tried that before. My beliefs are the thing keeping me from changing my beliefs. How do those folks get a second chance or have a different outcome this time?
Great. Well, as as you had your question, Mike, and we talked about what are the things you will give up, I'm going to say the first thing to do is have the awareness. You know
Mm.
what? I probably do this and it doesn't serve me. I do this and it probably doesn't serve me, right? First of all is the awareness. If we don't become aware of something we're doing that doesn't serve us, we can't change it. It just invisibly runs us under the surface.
I guess
But if
that's why we spend so much time kind of not, I don't want to say selling people, but explaining on, hey, here's why this is. Because you're right. Until you go, A, I do that, and B, it's not helping me. Everything else we talk about downstream of that, not. I've got a 9-year-old who I love and is sweet, but his favorite thing is, hey, boy, I noticed, you seem to know everything, but you really don't. If you listen instead of talk, maybe you learn something. Immediate response, no, I don't. So it's frustrating as a dad because I'm like, well, I guess that's just, I guess I'm going to have to wait for another teachable moment because this ain't it. But as soon as any coach, obviously make sure you're listening to people that you think are trying to help you and have the ability to help you. But as soon as someone says, you can give up some of the things that aren't serving you. I don't have anything that's not serving me. Well, then that's just the end of that conversation, right? So I love the idea of going, myself included. I think for rarely do I speak for Suzanne, but I think I can in this regard. We would both agree we've got things that aren't serving us that we could absolutely give up. And there's people smarter and brighter than us. And I think anyone that has any self-awareness would agree the more successful the person is, the more they're going to go, oh my gosh, there's so many things I need to give up. So if you think you're the one that has nothing, I might just be open to a different perspective.
And I'm also going to suggest if you're feeling brave, ask somebody else what they hear you say a lot that may be negative, a story that you repeat a lot that maybe doesn't serve you. Sometimes we don't hear ourselves. My son just got into real estate about 6 months ago, and we were just visiting with him, and he said some kind of story that didn't really serve him. So, of course, Sean, my husband, it thinks along the same line as I do, and he says to him, "You should stop repeating that story."
How's
And
that? Yeah,
he
how's that
knows our
story working
son
out
grew
for
up
you?
in this environment. He knows, but he hadn't really thought about it. He hadn't really heard the story that he was saying that was taking him down maybe a more negative track.
Hey, Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to getting them in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. And we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk.
Hearing is step one is to acknowledge the way that we think about things is going to influence our actions
Exactly.
more than the actions themselves. Step two, well, I got to identify the things that I'm holding on to that aren't serving me so I can give them up. And for the big boys and girls, obviously self-reflection is the first way. Well, just let me think about that. But many of us, we can't see the forest through our own trees, stuff that's obvious. I coach other people's businesses and I see very clearly exactly what they need. And they're on my business like it's fuzzy. I've got a coach and they're smarter, but a lot of it's just they're like, they have a perspective on me that I can't see because I'm in the middle of it. So going to somebody else and going, what do you see? Is huge. And I think, I don't want to oversimplify, but that feels like 80% of it. If I just understand I've got things I need to give up, I want to give them up, and I know what they are, seems like we're 80% of the way there. What's the last little bridge to be like, all right, how do I actually go from that knowledge to and willingness to give it up to walking
It's
away?
the decision to change. And some of the success habits that I'm now going to talk about will help you easily make that switch.
Let's do it.
How about that? Okay, let's look at that. One of the things is to get up on time. Okay. How many of us want to hit the snooze button, not get up because we're not excited about the day? Make yourself get up on time. It's a success habit that many people use. All of these things that I'm going to say, by the way, are not hard. They simply require the mindset to say, I choose to do this. And it's all about choice.
I'm going to because I love the getting up on time, I'm going to give you an Alex Hormozy. I just got this idea from him. It makes sense as soon as you say it. Since I heard it from him first, I wanted to give credit. I don't even say on time, when you decide to, right? If you want to get up at 9 or 6, not because, a lot of people are like, oh, the rich people all get up early and do it. It's like, yeah, a lot do. Not everyone. There's some rich people who sleep till noon, or some successful people. But I think getting up when you decide to get up is important. And to do that, I found, because for me, that's hard. Well, what makes it easy? Going to bed when you want, when you decide to go to bed. So don't just go to bed at midnight and then fight that fight at 5:30 or whenever you decide to, your body's screaming at you, need sleep. Decide, well, if I'm going to go to bed at 6, or if I'm going to wake up, I want to wake up at 6. Well, if I go to bed at midnight, I guess I could fight reality in my life, unless you're one of those rare people who can sleep, 4 hours a night. Just go, great, I'll go to bed at 10. So to me, that's easier. So it's like, what sub decisions do I need to make to not make that one decision? Like, here, I'm getting a little off tangent. I'll put it right back to you, Suzanne, but it's so important. Another Hormozi thing, I've been thinking Hormozi lately, talked about drug use from Vietnam veterans, how the rampant in Vietnam, just all over the place, very like heroin, like drugs that are very hard to kick. And they found that when people came back, just dropped off. They just stopped doing it. And the research shows it was just a different space. Like, when they're here, they do this, and then we're here, they do this. It was just like they needed it or felt like that there. And he goes, so if you're using drugs here, just move. Doesn't even have to be to like the other end of the world, like just another city, just where it's like, even if it's a city an hour away, or half, like just a different people, different things, different whatever. So hold on, I'm getting off track. I need to get back to my initial point where this all ties in. So when you decide, I want to wake up at a certain time, you could stay in Vietnam and just try and white knuckle it to get off drugs, but that shows to be pretty ineffective. So you can set yourself up for success and go, what is the thing that makes me hard in anything I'm doing? What makes it hard? So, and then reverse engineer. So as opposed to just saying, I'm going to white knuckle giving up drugs or giving up this thing that I love, if we can kind of break it down and go, why is it so hard to get up at 6? Well, I go to bed at midnight. Okay. Is it easier to like beat myself up is it easier to go, no more drugs, no more drugs, no more drugs in this environment that's drug fueled, or just go somewhere where no one's doing drugs and go, oh, I guess I'll just live my life? Is it easier to beat yourself up at midnight on 4 hours of sleep, or at 6 a.m. at 4 hours of sleep, or just to go like at 10 o'clock when you're like, I know I want to stay up and do whatever I do, but I'm going to be a big boy and go to bed? Like, that's an easier fight. So break it down. And if you're struggling to make a change, think through why, and be like, could I make this easier change upstream to make the change that I want to make not so scary? Wild rabbit trail. Thank you for following me, audience, and Suzanne.
Love it. Love it. And it's added one to my list, Mike. Not only get up when you choose on time, but go to bed at a decent hour. Don't stay up till all hours of the night and then expect yourself to get up and be chipper. Next one, create and do a morning routine that serves you. Okay, sometimes we get up, and now we're talking about a success habit, okay? I'm not saying you can't get up and just immediately, if you've got kids, you're all of a sudden you're in the mess of everything, of the chaos of the children. I know this because I'm with my grandkids right now, and they're very little, and I see the chaos. You can get up and just immediately immerse yourself in that chaos, or you can choose to get up 15, maybe 20 minutes early and just calmly do a little bit of yoga, do some mindset work, do a little reading, do something before the entire family gets up. And that's part of, you can do I am statements, you can journal, you can think about your day, and you can preset how you want your day to go. Those are some successful things that you can do in the morning.
Well, and you said what I think is a magic statement in that of have a morning routine that serves you. Because what I get frustrated with is there's a lot of people that have these like long hour and a half, I got to do this and I got to do that, and a cold plunge and workout. And I work out in the morning. I'm not knocking it. I have my time with God. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. But some people, they're just like, you know what? The first 2 hours, if I just got up and immediately went to work, or immediately spent time with my family, or immediately did my affirmations, or like, just don't, again, the reason I brought up because I think when I was young, I was told and believed like rich people always get up early. They always seem to be. And I think I would say a large percentage do. But because a large a substantial enough percentage don't, it's hard to correlate like you're successful because you're rich. Like, well, there's a lot of rich people that don't wake up that time. So, or I should say successful because there's a lot of way to be rich, but successful entrepreneurs that wake up at 11. So there's so many of them, it's hard to be like, you have to wake up early. Same thing with a daily routine. So I think it's really just following your plan. So if you know for you, waking up at 5 is going to be most effective, or 10, right? For me, 10 would be unacceptable, but I got a 9-year-old and, that wouldn't work for my life, but my life ain't your life. So I think I experience the same with the morning routine. Don't feel like you can get on Instagram and just get 1,000. You got to do this, you got to do that. And it's like 90 minutes before you feel like, gee, many Chris, I'll go at 4:30. It's 8. And I haven't, I gotten ready to get ready all day. And I'm not saying you can't or shouldn't, but just don't feel like Suzanne's routine. And I like her kind of little, could be 5 minutes, could be 20 minutes, could be, some people need an hour. So just make sure it's effective for you and it's thought through. You're doing what you plan to do, and you're doing it intentionally based on your situation, not I have to do an hour and a half routine because some influencer said he does an hour and a half routine and he's successful. Like, that's great. And I'm sure it works for him or her, and it may for you, but you just got to be a little more flexible with. I'm guessing, don't know for sure, Suzanne's morning routine when she's with her grandkids or in the same house, a little different than it was just her and Sean, just taking a wild stab.
Yes, you guessed right, Mike. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. That brings up another thing. Social media and reaching for your phone. My suggestion for success is please don't do that. What happens in social media? First of all, we lose a lot of time because we think we're going in for one thing and the next thing you know, half an hour has gone by. But there's a lot of comparing. Your life isn't somebody else's life. Just stay out of it. Abraham Hicks will say, if you don't like blueberry pie, get your finger out of the pie. Right? So try to avoid as much as possible social media, picking up your phone, looking at your messages right away. Center yourself. Get ready for your day. And then you can calmly go about solving everything that comes up in your life.
When it comes to social media, be a content creator, not a content consumer. And if you are going to consume content, just be really particular about what you consume. And I would even throw that with emails. Like, it's not really content, it's technically content, or Slack, or however you. So there's kind of two things. One is the social media, which I think is just the mind numbing. And I get it. There's I'm just going to check out for TV, social media, whatever. But just be careful the TV shows you watch or the channels that you subscribe to on whatever platform you like. So at least it's not sucking the life out of you, and be intentional, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with doom scrolling for a half hour. If you choose the half hour and you don't feel absolutely garbage after it, and if you don't choose the half hour and it turns an hour and a half and you feel like garbage, then, if you're not getting the result that you want, maybe try something different.
Bottom line on that is, I feel, choose the world that you want to see, right? You create it. Don't take the input from everybody else and say, that's what this is. Choose to create your life, your morning, the way you want to see it. And before we run out of time, I do want to talk about celebrating successes. A lot of times, even people, I just did a group next level call, and we had a couple of our next level people who I work with a fair amount, and they suddenly got caught in this gap, in this hole, in this what is not going right. And that can happen to any of us. And that's why it's always nice to have that extra person to say, did you notice where you are right now? Maybe not the best place to be. This is what you can do to get out of that space. So what did we do? We stopped looking at it's not happening fast enough, which is where a lot of us go. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. It's not happening fast enough. I have this goal. I'm not getting there. We can say, look at how far I've come. That's focusing on the gain. Look at how much I have done. Look at how much I have grown. Look at the little steps I have taken. They're going to take me to bigger steps. It's a whole lot easier to get to your goal when you're on a platform where you're looking at the gain in your past successes. So I'm going to say, think about them, write them down, focus on the good when you feel bad. Acknowledge, I feel bad, so that you can focus on the good.
That is so big, because our natural tendency is 100% forward thinking. And we spend a lot of time, most of us, I think, spend a lot of time on the good side. I can't wait to do this, or I want to have that. That's great. But we also focus on, I'm not here, like I'm not whatever. But again, when you look backwards, and we're cheating because we're talking about our next level people. So we know that when they look backwards, they're like, oh my gosh, a year ago, me would be wildly happy with today me. But then today me, and not every day, but some days me might be frustrated and hate it. And it's like, if you just put that back into perspective, it's going to change everything. The one caveat I want to give, just to give people that think like me, make them engage and feel okay about this. We're not saying, just like Suzanne said earlier, you don't just sit on the couch and think you're going to be successful and be successful. You got to take action. We're not saying there aren't real problems that need to be addressed. Like, that's okay. So I think I used to make, and I think some of you might make this, if I don't focus on the problems all the way, they won't get solved. So I've got to just focus on them. I just have to think about them, stress about them, and be miserable about them. Couldn't be the opposite of what, just the reverse, 100%. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to make a plan and do my best and hopefully get some good coaching or somebody that knows what they're doing to help me. But once I've got a plan that's going to work, worrying about if that plan is going to work or not couldn't be less effective. Like, so we're going to have that mix of, we're going to spend some time creating a plan. Like, is there anything better we can do to make this plan better? No, this is the best we have. You sure? We couldn't read something, ask something. Nothing we can do. This is as good as we got. We can't read the future, but this is the best we can do with the information we have. That's it. All right. Well, then why are we going to spend a bunch of time worrying about it? So I think we feel like worrying about it is somehow going to get us further. But for any of you biblical people out there, it's like, who by worrying can add an inch to your head or change the color of your hair? Not one, nothing. So be anxious and nothing. Doesn't mean you can't plan. Doesn't mean you can't have some thoughts, but you kind of put those in a box. All right, let's deal with this problem. We good? Dealt with the month? All right, cool. We'll check back in a week. Again, we're not going to leave it forever. We'll let it have time to do its thing. We'll check back in a week. And until then, let's focus on how far we've come. So that's a big one. And even if, aside from being successful, even if you don't care about being successful, just being happy. If all you think about is how you haven't got to your next goal, you can do that till the day you die. A billionaire going, well, I wanted to be a 2 billionaire. And you think, oh, that's ridiculous. We see people at all levels, every level in our company. I can point to a guy who's miserable at this level, and there's someone who's at the level he wants to be, and you would think that person would be ecstatic. They're not. They're worried about the next level. And we can do that all the way up to millions of dollars of revenue. It never goes away unless you intentionally say, hey, I'm going to appreciate every moment of this. And for older guys like me, you look back and you go, man, some of the times I missed were the best times of my life, but I was so focused on, and I lived indoors and I wasn't, I had food. Like, it's not like we're starving here if you're listening to this podcast, but I didn't have enough, in my opinion, which is ridiculous. Some of the best times of my life, and I missed them because I was worried about, if I have $1, I want $2. If I have $1 million, I need $2. If I want this, I got that. And it's like, man, if I could have just enjoyed, and I could have, I just chose not to. So today can be that day where we choose to enjoy. You'll feel better. You'll be more effective. Cleaning Nation, if this is helpful and you're like, I would need, and you're like, hey, it's the end of the year. I got to change. I want to do something different. We will do everything we can, one-to-many, to help. But obviously, without knowing you and your specific situation and where you're at and where you want to be, and what your goals and what skills you have and all that sort of stuff, we're limited to the ability that we can serve you. So if you need a little more specialized help, feel free to give us a call. We will see Sean peeking in behind you, by the way. Very creepy through the distorted glass. But he was there. It was very creepy for all you YouTube folks.
I think he's trying to bring me my tea.
I will wrap this thing up. All I want to say, Cleaning Nation, is we love helping you guys individually. We do everything we can. The information is free. We don't charge anything to help kind of get stuff figured out. If and when some percentage of you are like, hey, I'd like you guys to actually help us do that, obviously we charge for that, but reach out. We're here to help. We'll talk soon, Cleaning Nation. Thanks for hanging with us. See ya.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.